Brilliance Audio presents Under Darkening Skies by Ray Kingfisher, performed by Cassandra Campbell. In the intensive care unit of Toronto Western Hospital, Arnold Jacobson sat at his mother's bedside, silent and motionless apart from his fidgeting fingers. The only noise was the regular bleeping of the monitoring equipment attached to his mother. The only movement from her was the slow, rhythmic rising and falling of her chest. Arnold's senses were tuned into that sound and that movement, the symbols of his hope, his mind willing on the next bleep, urging her to push for that next hard-fought breath. He felt powerless, redundant even, but then realized there was something he could do. He could talk. So he started reminding her of the happy days spent playing with his two girls, now grown up. The girls owed a lot to their grandmother, particularly during that dark period when their mother had walked out, leaving Arnold to care for them in those most difficult teenage years. And if his daughters didn't appreciate what they owed to the recumbent, softly sleeping form now laid out in front of him, then he sure did. Talking to her was hard at first. There was the sense that he was really talking only to himself. But soon he'd said all those things he'd meant to say to her over the years, but had never plucked up the courage to do, thinking he could tell her another day, thinking that there always would be another day. And then, just when he realized that talking to himself had probably been for his own benefit rather than hers, she woke up, almost smiled at him, said his name in the gentlest of tones, which seemed at odds with the sharpness of her accent, and shut her eyes again. He leaned closer and asked her if she was in pain. She replied with a wonderful smile and a brief sideways movement of her head before she drifted back to sleep, or wherever the cocktail of sedatives was taking her. Arnold spent 20 minutes just watching her quietly battling with her natural lifespan. Then, the door behind him opened, and he heard that distinctive and reassuring rustle of a nurse's starchy uniform. "Hey, Merlene," he said as she moved a chair next to him and eased herself onto it. "Just finished my shift," she said. "Thought I'd see how she's doing." He shook his head. "Same as yesterday. She wakes up now and then. I managed to ask her if she was in pain, and she's not." "Good," Merlene said, laying a hand on his shoulder and patting it gently before withdrawing. He turned and looked into her dark eyes, noticing how they tilted up at the corners when she gave that big warm smile. "And I guess I owe you a special thanks," he said. "I'm a nurse, Arnold." "Hey, we all know you did more than nurse her while she was living at her apartment. You bought groceries for her whenever I couldn't. You were her friend." "She was a good friend to me." "I know you two got along well. She always said your accent was like a lime and coconut cocktail. And I'm sure without you, well, I guess I should have done more, and without you, she'd have ended up here much sooner." "Don't be putting yourself down, Arnold. In the end, you gave up your job to care for her. And it was my pleasure to help. Ingrid was good to me. She was my first regular home visit after Herbie died. She told me. You don't mind, do you?" Merlene gave her head a dismissive shake. "She might have told you what happened to me, but she'll never know how much she helped me." Arnold pointed to his mother. "You could tell her now." Merlene hesitated, opening her mouth to speak, then halting. "Or just tell me if it's easier. Either way, she'll know."